Hi friends, welcome back with new amazing video from Top Movies Recap. Today I'm going to recap a 2018 sci-fi and thriller film titled The Titan. Spoiler warning, watch out and take care. The film begins in the year 2048. The NATO operations post is reached by a convoy of cars crossing the Atlantic Ocean. One of the automobiles pulls over in front of a mansion and a woman leads a family of 3 into their new home. The lavishness of the location has Rick Jansen, his wife, Dr. Abigail Jansen, and their son Lucas obviously taken aback. When Lucas asks Rick where he is heading, Rick gestures him a direction towards the sky, and the camera pans out to see similar houses in the area. It's possible that those who arrived in the other cars were given comparable housing. Professor Martin Collingwood pays a visit to the family the next morning, and the couple is delighted to see him. Rick expresses gratitude to the professor for picking him for the trip, but the professor instead reminds him of the mission's dangers. The professor expresses his gratitude for their assistance and departs for a NATO meeting. In the year 2048, when the Earth's natural resources have been depleted to the point of exhaustion, people begin to struggle over what remains of the resources, and battles between countries are common. Half of the planet will be uninhabitable in 10 years, and half of the world's present population would starve to death in 15 years, according to him. Because humans have outgrown their houses, their time is running out, according to the professor, and their offspring will witness the end of the Earth. Despite this, he maintains that there is still hope. Titan, Saturn's largest moon, is the only other world in the solar system that possesses an atmosphere other than Earth. Apart from the Earth, it is the most habitable body in the solar system, yet it is far from ready for human habitation. The atmosphere is saturated with nitrogen, and the temperature is exceedingly low as liquid methane pours on the celestial planet. The professor states that space science indicates Titan is uninhabitable for humans, but he has a different idea. Instead of trying to make the planet hospitable for humans, he wants to employ current genetics to help people adapt to the planet's environment. As a result, Rick and the other 13 members of the team have been summoned to be tested in order to help them adjust to the Titan environment. He argues that with minor changes to their bodies, they will be able to breathe nitrogen and endure Titan's cold. Everyone there is aware of the experiment's dangers, but they are willing to risk their lives for the sake of future generations. Their major goal is to establish Titan as humanity's future home planet. They were picked for this task from a pool of 5,000 people from 16 countries based on their survival skills. One participant at the convention claims that the procedure is forced and that no one will survive in the end, while others claim to be aware of the dangers. After the convention, the group is given key cards and escorted to a lab where Dr. Freya Upton, an experiment assistant, gives Rick an injection and tells him that he will be getting over 300 shots in the following week. The shots are meant to teach them how to burn nitrogen instead of oxygen for energy, because the oxygen level in Titan is only 5, compared to Earth's 20. The magnificent homes were provided to all 14 volunteers and their families, and they are all located adjacent to each other. As a result, Abigail extends an invitation to everyone for a BBQ weekend. They all dance, eat, and drink together because it is the final time they will be allowed to consume alcohol. Rick assists Abigail in getting to their room after the party, but before they can, he starts coughing violently. Abigail assists him and notices that he has a temperature. Rick and a girl named Tally are the last ones inside, and she gives him some medicine and puts him to bed. In the following experiment, participants are forced to sit underwater for as long as they can. After 31 minutes underwater, everyone outside is relieved and amazed that the experiments were successful. Tally begins to suffocate and floats to the surface in 39 minutes, while Rick remains inside. Everyone is concerned since his vitals appear to be falling. Rick, on the other hand, begins swimming across the pool at a high rate, demonstrating his progress as everyone shouts and claps for him. He has been underwater for 42 minutes. As a bedtime story, Rick tells his son Lucas about Titan's health. The child is overjoyed that his father will soon be able to live in another world. Rick then joins his wife in the pool when she observes the visible nerves on his back. She chalks it up to a side effect of the shots he's been given, but Abigail and Ryan are concerned for him as time passes. Ryan informs another volunteer's wife that she didn't want her husband to come here, but he doesn't listen. Rick undergoes surgery that day, according to her, and Abigail, who is a doctor, reads the book they were given that details all of the operations Rick must undergo. She's relieved to see that they are all safe when she wakes up at night and discovers that Rick has vanished from their bed. She walks into the kitchen and sees him putting ice on his body. He claims he was burning in their bed. Abigail takes out a bucket of ice and Rick puts his hands in it. He asks his wife to do the same, but she refuses to withstand the cold. Rick then states that he is immune to cold since he has evolved to living in Titan's frigid environment. In one experiment, the participants are forced to swim underwater since the environment is filled with methane gas. similar to what might exist on Titan. They are then forced to run as fast as they can around a field while breathing methane and nitrogen. After several days of doing the same exercise, the group is in the locker room when Rick finds that a lot of his hair is falling out. Tally tries to verify it by pulling a clump of hair off his head, but one of the female volunteers vomits blood and collapses to the ground. Others try to assist her and call the authorities. Dr. Freya tries to assist her, but she passes out on the ground before she can help her. The group is taken aback when the unpleasant reality of the experiment begins to emerge. That night, everyone gathers at Rick's house to examine the situation once more. While no one else seems to notice, Ryan and her husband are outside in the pool. Abigail notices all of the volunteers' worries becoming visible for a few seconds before dissipating. Ryan's husband has been worried because of the death. While the others converse, he strikes Ryan in the face and loses control. The others rush to aid the girl and restrain the man. His brain has been struggling to cope with the tests. Dr. Freya arrives at Rick's the next day to check his vitals, claiming that the girl who died had kidney stones, which caused the experiments to be tampered with, resulting in her death. Rick can't stop vomiting blood at night, so Abigail takes a sample to analyze. As she closes the doors, she notices a light blinking on the walls and thinks they're being watched. Rick is in the water when his skin peels away and floats. Later on, while they are sleeping, Abigail recognizes Rick's back as peel and brings the sample to the lab the next morning, where she discovers that it contains additional substances not mentioned in the book. On that day, the lab performs eye surgery on Rick in order to let him see through the darkness. After the surgery, he goes home, but his eyes begin to bleed profusely, and he must be taken back to the hospital. Abigail confronts the professor about the cameras, which he claims are for security reasons, and accuses him of not telling them everything about the procedure. He dismisses her and sends her home, but when she returns, she notices several army vans approaching Ryan's house. She rushes to check what's going on, but is stopped by a soldier just as Ryan is thrown out the window, his body lying on the front porch. Because of the studies, Ryan's husband has gone absolutely insane. Abigail steals Rick's access card and sneaks into the facility one night. She looks through the volunteers' medical records and discovers that the girl who died had no kidney stones. NASA is meeting with the professor and his team. The professor is reprimanded for conducting forced evolutionary experiments without appropriate evidence or ethical justification. When the professor arrives to visit Rick at his home, he informs Abigail that he doesn't know the results of the tests yet, but they can't go back now. The participants will be transformed into a new species of human called the Homo titaniums, which will be distinct from Homo sapiens but similar to Homo sapiens in that everyone evolves differently. They have no idea where Rick will go after the trial is over. Later, Rick removes the bandage from his eyes and is shocked to see everything around him, even in the dark, because his eyes have evolved. The next day, they execute a crucial surgery on the subjects, but all but Rick and Tally die. The destiny of humanity now rests on the shoulders of two individuals. Abigail is brought to the institution after the surgery and is astonished to witness her husband transform into a completely new creature, although he clearly knows her. They've morphed into Homo titaniums fully. They can hear the human stalking but are unable to respond since they communicate at a low frequency that is inaudible to normal human ears. That night, Rick returns home and hits Abigail by accident. He's swimming later when he hears a big crash outside. Tally has gone to see him, and several troops have also approached the house. It turns out that she has murdered her husband, so the soldiers sedate her and try to seize Rick as well, but Rick effortlessly kills them all with his newfound power. He only comes to a halt when Abigail requests that he be taken to the institution and held in a glass cell. Rick is now ready to be transported to Titan, but his emotional bond to Abigail and Lucas prevents him from doing so. As a result, the professor requests that Abigail inject him with a substance that would obliterate his memories. Abigail complies and gives him the opportunity to shoot. Rick shook his head as though he didn't want to forget about her. Abigail emerges from the cell, grabs Lucas and Dr. Freya, and flees, revealing that she had given him a different concoction to aid his escape. When Rick kills a soldier while pretending to be unconscious, the others are notified, but his enhanced talents allow him to quickly escape. In one of the labs, Rick meets his wife and son, but is quickly besieged by soldiers. Rick's evolution is irrevocable, the professor says to Abigail, and he can no longer be human. His sole option for survival is to travel to Titan, as she has entirely lost her previous husband. For the sake of humanity's survival, Abigail reluctantly agrees to let him go. In the next scene, we see them on an aeroplane where Rick is in a body bag and being transported to Titan. Cut to a few months later, and the professor has been arrested for utilizing unethical procedures. The Titan II facility has been taken over by Abigail and Freya. We find Rick standing on the mountains of Titan, well adapted to its environment, spreading his webbed arms and soars in its sky. Lucas calls his mother outdoors to have her gaze at the clear night sky somewhere far away in the galaxy. We hope you enjoyed our video from today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to receive notifications of new and interesting videos.